the issues. Let's give them 2 more minutes, and hopefully everyone would be joining. And I'm getting some information here. Rinku says Diwali, and then it is Diwali for Gracie also. Lakshmi, all the festival. I like that spirit. And yes, for me, Diwali is one of the obviously the main one. But I somehow like Holi also. It's a good time to like be with your friends outside, enjoy the weather, enjoy all the colors. So that is one of the main thing. Prasad, can you confirm if we can see the YouTube thing now? Still no?
I have the link, but I'm not able to find on the live stream somehow on our BeSA channel. But still, there is a new link.
Prasad, I think it's fine now because I just checked on my mobile phone. It's looking good.
Yeah, okay. It's good now. It's good.
And
it's good.
I could see some people who are from YouTube based on the icon they have, like Gracie is joining from LinkedIn and Lakshmi is from YouTube. So hopefully it is there. Prasad, do you mind popping this message into the Discord channel so that people would be there? Sorry, folks, yesterday I made a lot of mistakes and this was one of them. Another one was deleting a video by mistake, but now everything is okay and hopefully we would not have any issues. And I have to like take things little slowly as I move forward in my new things. All right. So how many people are there? Today is 56. So probably because of festival season and all, there are less people today. It is still okay. But I still want to give 1 more minute, hopefully, so that it is not because of the link not being visible. They are not able to join. So we will start in a minute. Shashank, you will be coming here for the first time. So can you introduce yourself? Give us some idea who you are and what motivates you to be on Saturday and help us out here with BeSA. So over to Shashank.
Sure. Thanks, Ashish. Hello, everyone. I'm Shashank. I currently work as Solutions Architect at AWS. And what brings me here? I believe in paid forward. There have been many times when I have been part of user groups and many people have helped me. And that's where I'm here today. And that brings me here today to pay it forward. So want to help people out here. And, whatever I've learned, I want to give it back. And that brings me here, Ashish, today. I hope that helps. I try to keep it short, yeah.
Okay, good. Nice. And Shashank, where are you based?
I'm based out of Bangalore, India. And celebrating Dussehra today.
Enjoying the role of a solution architect?
Definitely, yes. Yeah.
Great. Good. All right, sir. So we will go ahead and Shashank and I would be playing the customer and AWS evangelist role. And I'll ask Sharik and Prasad to help you with your chats. And then we will keep moving forward. So thanks, Sharik. Thanks, Prasad. We'll talk to you soon. All right, Shashank. So you are today acting as a customer, and I'll try my best to answer any questions you may have. Don't throw any curveballs like a typical customer, but yeah, let's see how it goes. All right.
Sure, Ashish. Let's get started.
Great. So hopefully you attended last session and you had an idea on how this machine learning works, what is artificial intelligence, but still we haven't reached to the part where we talk about generative AI. So do you have any questions or anything which you want me to discuss before I talk about your use cases or your business problems? Am I audible? I think you are on mute or not sure what is happening today.
Yes, I'm totally audible, totally audible. I was just trying to decipher your question. Nothing as of now for me. Yes, I mean, I did attend the last sessions and really, I mean, analogy-wise and everything, it was really great. Understood about AI and ML, want to understand furthermore. Like you gave us a brief, want to understand now how you introduce me to Gen AI. And that's what I'm curious about. And I'm interested to know more from the session today.
Makes sense. So yeah, Gen AI is something which we are seeing. So I would call it Gen AI is a fruit of the tree which we call artificial intelligence. So obviously, a fruit is not existing into a silo. It is on a tree. Tree would have a stem. Tree would have branches. Tree would have other parts also. Same thing applies here. So what we saw so far was artificial intelligence, and we talked about machine learning. Now, before I explain you how Gen AI works, I would prefer to explain you about deep learning, because this is also important thing to understand, that how we arrived to Gen AI and what made Gen AI possible. And if you are preparing for exam, like this is a certification track, so expect some question on Gen AI and deep learning all together. So I'll try to explain what deep learning is. Now, if I further go on to the same pyramid type of structure which I showed you, and I talked about that AI is a machine simulating human intelligence. AI subset is machine learning, which is machine's ability to learn without explicitly being programmed. And then a subset of machine learning further comes down, which is machine can process the data that is inspired by the human brain. So how a human thinks, obviously we have one of the best brains in the whole universe as of now, not me specifically, but human as a species. So that's what is also inspiration of how deep learning worked. And I'll demystify a few things as we move forward, that how deep learning works. So AI is the broader term. Within that we have ML, and within that we have deep learning, and where Gen AI fits in, we will talk about that also. And people who are into chat, please ask question, please have any discussion points, feel free to put them into chat, and we'll try to answer as much as we can. Now, why we need it? First thing comes that, okay, you created AI, why you need then machine learning? Why then you need deep learning also? What you are trying to achieve here? So I'll talk about why we are creating more solution based on artificial intelligence. So see this example here. So here we are talking about that, okay, we are trying to solve complex problem. Simple problem, math problem, we created calculators for that. Computers were also able to do these things. But now we are looking for more complicated problems to solve. Maybe identifying a picture, or maybe identifying a pattern, or identifying some other things within a given environment. So in those kind of cases, our complexity of problem we are solving is increasing. And that's where we have to find better solution to understand those type of things. So uh, then we have hardware based constraint on implementations, and that's what is able we are able to uh, put into picture. Like, let me give me a minute, let me try to draw this thing. So what we are trying to achieve here, that we are trying our best to find out solutions which will allow us to create solution for the problem which are very, very complicated, which are not as simple as 1 plus 1 equal 2. So that's why we have to figure out a way of doing these things on a hardware side also. That's what is actually happening. Does it make sense? Give me a minute.
It does.
I got a message from Pawan that says that are we still on YouTube? Could see it off YouTube for 1 minute and then I can't. Let me
I
check
checked it,
with them.
Ashish. I checked it. It was working fine for me.
Okay, it's working fine. Good. Thank
Yep.
you. So, Pawan, if you're hearing, maybe it's just a refresh which is needed, maybe a different browser probably, and hopefully it should be okay. I could see 131 people as of now live. So not everyone would be probably from LinkedIn. So yeah, GK, thanks for confirming. Okay, it's working. Good, good, Pawan. Thanks for confirming. All right. So what we are trying to achieve here is that as the problems are becoming complex, we are trying to create solution around those problems, and that's where your deep learning thing is coming. Now, why you may have a question, why you are calling it deep learning? What is actually happening here? What is deep learning? Why the word deep here? Artificial, we know what is, we are creating it artificially. Machine learning, we know where the machines are learning. So why comes deep learning? Let me explain these things in a small graphic so that you could relate it better, why it is called deep learning. Now, talking about a human brain works complicatedly. It's not something which works on a very straight line. There are multiple layers in the brain. Like, if you put two people into the same situation, probably the outcome they would figure out, or the solution they would figure out, will be completely different than what is expected. So same thing applies here, because there are so many layers between the decision point where we reach, that there is so much deep conversation or deep layering happening, and that's why we are calling it a deep learning algorithm. So in this picture, if you see at the bottom, what we are depicting is the neurons. Obviously, these are artificial neurons which we have created here using our network, and in that we have multiple nodes. every node is performing some task, and through these nodes we are able to get output received. So happens here is like we have machine who process data same way like it is done by a human brain, mimicking the neural network of it. It's a multi-layer network, and that's why it is called deep. So if you look here, there are lots and lots of layers. Obviously for pictorial representation I have created only few of them, but there are many layers within it which are making this thing possible. So that's why it is called deep learning, and these are artificial neuron who are allowing us to perform input and then take that output and then come with the prediction outside. So that's what is happening with your deep learning mechanism. Is deep learning clear?
Yes. Yes, Ashish. So just wanted to ask you, can you help us an example of how these layers work in action?
Sure, I'll do that. And I'll take a question from Sandeep. He's asking, are deep learning and neural networks same or one is subset of other? So Sandeep, I would put it like that deep learning uses neural network. So deep learning, to solve the problem, it uses a solution which is made up of neural network like in brain. So it is not a subset, but it is neural network which is making deep learning possible. This is how I would put it. All right. Now coming to your example that how these layers process things, let's go ahead and talk about these specific layers. I'm taking a simple example. You could find it on internet also. Let's say a very simple one. Somebody has handwritten B. Now, as a human, I can say that yes, it is B. But for a machine, it is not easy to understand what this particular character is. So I'm focusing here right now. So what is this character? Probably my machine is not able to predict it for me. So what I need now, I need to have a solution who could say, is it B? And it should be saying that with confidence, not like that. So we take this particular letter, we pixelize it. So we have created different pixels for it. Obviously it would be presented something like this, like it may not be exact straight line, but we are leveraging pixelation of the image which has been given to it. Now based on this pixelation, what we see now, that my machine could predict that looks like this one particularly here is a specific thing, like here this is one line, then that could be another line. So this is one line here we have, then this made up of second line here, then maybe a line is like this. So what layer one did, layer one has broken down those pieces into smaller parts. Now these smaller parts are then related, or they are put together, and they are figuring out is what it is representing. So maybe by this small section here, I may think it is representing a D. So machine has said, okay, it looks like D. Second section says that, hey, it looks like C. If I am just looking at to this particular section, this looks like C. So what is happening now? Now a machine is trying to predict that what is the edge information, and based on that first layer information, it is trying to predict the complex shapes. And once this is ready, it is able to say, okay, looks like these is all the letters are made up of. And now as it will be doing this, it will also start allocating some percentage. Like looks like percentage wise it is 10% A, looks like 85% B, looks like 15% D. So this is probability, and then the output would be whatever is the most probable thing, or whatever is the highest rating which has got. So probably in this case would be B, and through that we are able to predict that how deep learning works. So every layer is performing its own task, and the second layer is taking input from it, and then it keeps moving forward and forward and forward. So that's what a deep learning is. Does it make sense?
Yes, Ashish. So just brings me to another question. Is that safe to say Gen AI is part of deep learning, or are they connected?
That's very correct. So I would say deep learning made Gen AI possible. Deep learning helps you to get these all type of input and process it, because that is what a human brain is doing. So we are generating content, and same way when we are talking about how Gen AI has been made possible, I would say because of deep learning we are able to get to up to a Gen AI. And again I'm saying Gen AI is a byproduct. It is some mechanism, there are models behind the scene, and those models are helping us to get generative AI. So generative AI is an outcome, and what is behind the scene is a deep learning algorithms and models which we have created. Right now, this is hopefully giving you a clear picture. So keep this in mind. I will change it a little bit as we move forward. I will try to keep Gen AI little outside, and I will come back with some more things as we move forward here. But yeah, right now AI is the top, then ML, then deep learning, and then Gen AI comes. Right. Good. Now let's move forward then. Now, I'll give you an example so that you could understand what Gen AI would be able to do. Now, we talked about a chess example. Like, if a machine can play chess based on the rules defined, I would call it is artificial intelligence. If a machine can learn to play chess by analyzing the moves for the other player, then it is a machine learning. Deep learning, machine can learn to play chess by playing against themselves, right? So what it is doing, it is predicting and performing all the, like, he is becoming both the player, and based on that it is able to get a chess game started. And if I'm talking about generative AI, what we are trying to do here, machines that can create a new game based on the rule of chess and prompts given. So machine knows what is a chess game, and now I ask machine that, hey machine, I want you to generate a new game for me, which should be for 4 players, and I want to follow the similar rules which are followed into chess. Obviously, it will not be exact match, but machine can now start generating something new which never existed before based on the input which has been given to it. So that's what generative AI can be referred as, like generating something new which never existed before. Does it make sense?
Yes, Ashish. So just wanted to understand what is this Gen AI all about and what makes it possible, yeah? I mean, how is it able to generate some new content?
Great. Good question. So yeah, generative AI is an outcome which we are seeing, as I always say. But what is happening here? Let's ask this to a chat bot, or let's ask generative AI itself. What is generative AI? So we will be talking about what is generative AI. Now there is a question that what are the different type of learning or training ML? So we discussed it into last batch. So please check. We discussed about different algorithm for machine learning. So coming to question of what is generative AI. So if I ask this question to a generative AI bot itself, probably it would reply that, hey, generative AI is a branch of AI that focuses on creating new data. So focus is generation, a data which never existed. We are trying to create it. Like I am, let's say, an author, and I am writing my book. I am a poet. I am creating a new poetry which was not existing before. If I am a painter, I am creating a new painting which never existed before. That's what generative AI is. Obviously, I would have learned to write somewhere. I would have first learned alphabet. I would have learned how to create an English sentence. I would have learned how to create different type of sentence structure. And now, based on all the information I got, I am trying to generate something new. That is what we refer as a generative AI. Now, if I go further on that, it is still a subset of machine learning because that's what making it possible. And on top of it, what we are doing, we are trying to create data which is similar, not the same, but that was used to train the model. So whatever was given to the model, output would be inspired by that, but it would be a completely different output which never existed before. That's what we can think of a generative AI. Right now, hopefully everyone is following along, and I'll try to give you an example. So let's say I go to a generative AI model. I'll explain model again in a minute, but what we will do, we will say, hey, I need to have a picture of a golden retriever wearing a glass and a hat in a portrait painting mode. So what happens now, generative AI knows what is the dog. It knows what is glasses and how people wear it. Probably it would not have a picture of a dog wearing a glass, but it knows a picture of a human who has wore a glass. It knows what is a hat. It knows what is a portrait painting. So all these 4 things combined together, what it is doing now, okay, I know what is a hat, I know what is a golden retriever, I know what is a portrait painting, and I know what is a glass, and let me now try to create a picture for myself. So that is how it is happening here, is like we are creating something, right? Yeah, I agree, Sharik. I like the dog. I think he knows more about AI than all of us. I agree on that. Dogs are very smart. And if you talk about machine learning, I don't know why, but a lot of machine learning scientists will always talk about pictures of dog, pictures of cat, and they're trying to relate it to the real world. But yeah, this is what generative AI is actually doing, generating content based on the input it already had. Good. So If I now talk about what we are trying to do here, so this is what we already have, this is what we are trying to do, but what had made things possible about generative AI, as you asked, Shashank, what made this thing possible is what we refer as foundational model, or FM for short. So FM is not the FM which we can hear songs on, not that one, but this not frequency modulation. But here we talk about FM, which is called foundational model. So foundational model is making the generative AI possible. So I'll talk about foundation model, but I'll stop. If you have a question here so far, I would be happy to answer any questions which you may have. Shashank, all good? You're following me?
All along. Yep. I was
All
just
along.
looking in the
Good,
chat
nice.
section. Yep. Yep.
No worries, no worries. Thank you. So talking about foundation model, I would say please remember this thing. Foundation model is a versatile AI model trained on extensive, diverse data, adaptable for broad application and tasks. Don't worry, you don't have to remember the definition, but at least try to understand some words from it. First thing, it is a versatile model. Versatile person, versatile substance we have, or like I give some example, like very basic one. Potato is considered as a versatile vegetable. You could mix it with multiple types of vegetable and it will still taste good, right? Same thing here. So it is a foundation model which is versatile. It has been trained on lot of data and it can do broad application. It can perform lots and lots of things. So that is same thing we are trying to go ahead here. This is what we refer as a general purpose model. It was not created to perform one specific task, but it was created to perform lot of general tasks. Consider it as a generalist rather than being a specialist. Does it make sense?
Yes, Ashish.
Okay. Now, I like
Can I
talking
ask
about
a
movies, so
question?
I'll give you an example from a movie so that you could relate how foundation model is different from other model. Sometimes those are called narrow model because their focus is narrow and they perform one single thing. So let me talk about a movie example here. I'm not sure how many of you have seen movie 300. It is a movie based on the ancient war which happened between Sparta and the other people. What was shown in that movie was this person who is King Leonidas, this guy here. And King Leonidas, it has been shown in the movie that how he was trained, or every Spartan kid was trained like this. Spartans are considered to be very ferocious warriors. And that all was because they were trained like that from the very young age. So in the movie, you would find pictures like this, where Leonidas was sent for extensive training and he has learnt only art of war in the whole life. Obviously, other things also, but his focus was to be a superior warrior in the whole thing. Everything which he was doing was fine tuned to train him to become a warrior. That is what happens. Is we are talking about a narrow AI which has been created only to solve a specific problem. That is what we refer as a narrow AI. And obviously, what would be opposite of that? That would be what a generalist model is. Consider another analogy here, Shashank. Like, probably you all have heard about campus placement, right? What companies do? Companies go to campus colleges, young graduate who have just graduated. They may not know a lot of things, like they want to hire software developer. They may not know the best coding. They want to hire engineer. They may not be the best engineer so far. But what they have done, they have gone through variety of training. They may have studied language. They may have known about history. They may have learned about the mathematics. They may have learned about chemistry and lot of other stuff. So AI system which is designed to perform wide range of tasks, like a graduate coming from college, he or she has been trained on a lot of stuff. And when the time comes, what companies will do? Okay, you have already done the general training, so you can perform various tasks. He may know how to operate Excel. He may know how to write a code. He or she may know how to respond to email. He or she may know how to create a PowerPoint. So these general stuffs are already there, right? Now, company may not be able to just hire them for Excel skills or only for their PowerPoint skills. They also have to perform lots of other stuff. So what companies will do now, okay, you already have general training, which is a good enough base for me. And now we would let you go through focused training for a specific role. So we selected 100 people. We would be putting them into our support branch. These 100 will go into software development. These 50 would be into marketing. These 50 will be into data analytics. This 50 will be into machine learning. So what they did, they have taken someone who has a base understanding of it, and then they fine tune those people for specific role which are they going to work on. They give them specific training, maybe for DevOps. They give training for their uh, programming. They give the training for marketing or data analytics or machine learning, and that's how they are able to take a generalist and make them focused on very specific tasks. But that person, as it already has a base, it is able to perform lots of stuff. It is just a matter of training, how we train them, and that's how foundation model actually works. So foundation model is a generalist who can perform lots and lots of stuff. Makes sense?
That's a great analogy and definitely helps me understand, like, what is generalist and what is narrow AI, and what if, I want to put a model for general task and for, excel it in a specific task. Thanks, Ashish, for that.
Exactly. So yeah, that's the idea, because we cannot predict every use case which a customer would have. So why don't we create a generalist model who can fine tune, or which can be adjusted? We will talk about adjustment also for a specific use case afterwards. So that we could do. Now, if I try to create a comparison between them, these two models, let's talk about how a traditional model works and how a machine learning model works. See this picture. So in a traditional model, you would have very specific type of training data given to it, very specific, and that specific data will be going through that model and will be generating a very specific task. So maybe I have a model which is only fine tuned for text summarization, another model which is fine tuned only for Q&A, another one for chat. So that was a traditional ML model. But now for foundation model, the base is unlabeled data, because you cannot feed the whole internet data to this particular model, or the work of all the authors in the world. That's not possible. So we feed in this unlabeled data to my foundation model, and now it is able to adapt. This is the right word, adapt, to different tasks which it is given to it, right? So you may not know programming from the very first day on the job, but maybe you have been given training, you have been fine-tuned, maybe you shadowed people, maybe you have been given code to analyze, and now you have adopted yourself so that you could write code or solve customers' problem. So that is how foundation model take lot of unlabeled data and then perform and adapt to various type of tasks which we can do. All right. Is everyone okay so far? Are you following along? Great. All right. Now, what else can be there? Let me talk a little bit more on that side. So let's see how the clear picture would look like. So now, as I said that I may change picture a little bit. What I'm doing now here, I am putting foundational models here. And these foundational models can be of different types. Foundation model can be for scientific purpose. Foundation model can be for audio analysis. It could be for vision, like detecting a video or analyzing a video, or it could be text model, which we most commonly use, like Chat GPT. It is a foundational model which is purely fine-tuned for performing all text analysis. So this is what we are trying to achieve from the foundational model. So AI, ML, DL, and FM, and within FM we have got all the different types of model, and through these models we are able to create generative AI. So all these models, now some model may be only able to give me text, some may be giving audio, some may be multi-model, which may give multiple output. So that's what generative AI is all about. Does it make sense, Shashank?
Yes,
Yeah.
Ashish, all good. Yep.
Good.
Gives me a good
Okay.
picture. Thanks.
Right. So generative AI is an outcome. Remember the analogy, you have planted a machine learning tree or a AI tree, and the output you are getting now from that is generative AI. And that again explains that why it just happened, like generative AI overtook all the world. The tree was already there, it was growing, it took time to get up to the fruiting level, and now the fruitation has happened, and we are getting the best out of the machine learning, which has been going on for a long time. That's how we started. Okay. Now, behind the scene, there is one more terminology which a lot of you may have heard or a lot of you may have understood, is what we call is a large language model. But I'll try to explain some basic concept first and then we'll go into it. So see this thing here. So machine learning, where you provide simple input and you get simple output from it. Very simple. Simple input, simple output. That's a machine learning thing, very specific. Then we have deep learning. Deep learning says, okay, I have matured enough now. Let me solve complex problem for you and I will be giving you simple output. Think of it like you are giving to a kid a math problem 1 plus 1 and he or she is solving and getting output 2. Simple problem, simple output. Once you graduated or once you have gone into high school, our problems in the maths has gone up, right? We started solving complicated problem, interest calculation, we started doing geometries, we started doing trigonometry, lots of things. So now we got complex input and that still formatted to a simple output. That is what we call deep learning. And when I am talking about generative AI, we give complex input and we are getting complex output from it. It could be coming from complex output, could be coming from in form of image or text or a sonnet or maybe a haiku or maybe a full paragraph or a resume created for you. It could be n number of things. So that's what is generative AI is helping me with. All right. So this is on a high level what is prediction or what is generative machine learning and deep learning looks like on a high level, right? This is not very technical, but just to give somebody an idea that how you can go ahead and move forward from there. Make sense?
Ashish, yep, it makes sense. For someone who is very new to AI, how would you describe an LLM, a large language model? I'm still, stuck there. Can you help me with it?
Yeah. Yeah, problem with generative AI, Shashank, is there are so many words and so many jargons. You try to understand and get your hand around, and they come up with a new jargon. So LLM is the base for ChatGPT. Let me put it like that. All the models who are smart enough to give you a recipe or give or create itinerary for you for 2 days Spain visit, all is happening because of LLM, large language model. And I call large language model as somebody who says, "Ask me everything. Ask whatever you question you have, put it." Now I am not promising I will give you the right answer all the time, but I will respond. I'm trained to answer to you, right? You call a support line, you ask some people some question, they may not know answer but they would respond. Same thing here. So large language model allows you to perform human like conversation. The text you are providing as an input, output will be coming as a text, and through that we are able to perform all the operations. All right. Now I'm not seeing any messages in the chat. So I want to just pause and can everyone give me a +1 if you are still connected to us? I just want to make sure that you are not disconnected and you are still able to listen to us. So just give me a +1 and we'll be continuing afterwards. Yeah, Sharik said, why so quiet? Yeah, it's not a good thing, right? Isn't it? I'm still waiting. Prasad, Sharik, anyone, can you check if everything is okay? Means I'm not sure why. Okay, now I got a response. So looks like there is a delay. Nuruddin, you are saying it from LinkedIn, so I got it from LinkedIn. But let me see if somebody from YouTube responds or not. No, I'm not getting anyone from YouTube. So
Ashish, I
probably
was
there is
connected on.
something wrong.
Yep. Yes, Ashish, I'm connected to YouTube as well, and I see there is a little lag, but people are responding +1 there.
Okay, good.
Yep. Just that it's not getting captured here. That's it.
All right. Yeah, so probably lag is there and that could be a issue. But everyone, I'm really sorry, not sure why today is a lag. It doesn't happen most of the time, but right now we are seeing it. Let's see if everyone is still okay and following along. And obviously recording is there, so you should be able to get it. There's so many messages. Okay. So
Yes,
I
I
am
see
not
very
able to
positive
see any
messages.
YouTube messages here on my screen. Uh, is anyone else able to see? Sharik, Prasad, Jamira? Nope. Give me a minute. I'm checking some chat, private chats also. It's working fine. Okay, good. All right. Okay, StreamYard, I am connected. Okay, good. Let's continue then. So if your question remains unanswered, let us know afterwards, and we would be happy to answer it. Shouldn't be a problem at all. But asking question is important thing. You could you unmute me, please? Yes, I'll add you to the stage, Arik.
Yeah, Ashish, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, looks like there's some disconnect because I can see some questions on YouTube on my mobile phone and all plus one as well, but somehow that is not reflecting on a StreamYard because I could see the questions are there even
Okay.
before I have asked that. So there are questions, but it's not coming on StreamYard. What I'll do, you continue with that. I'll log on YouTube separately as well, and then we can fix this later on. Not a problem.
Yeah, means if there are any questions, anyone's question, if it remains unanswered, so put them into Discord, LinkedIn groups, and we would be happy to answer it. I'm not sure why technology is not working as expected today. Yeah,
somehow
happens,
YouTube
right?
is not synced properly with StreamYard today. We need to check that. So not a problem.
Probably I made changes on the fly, and that could be one of the reason, right? Prasad, are you seeing the same thing? Not coming on YouTube.
Ashish, yeah, I can see chat working fine on the YouTube, just that it is not reflected on StreamYard, so don't worry about it. And I can see, accidental DevOps guy, like that is Sharif, responding to a few of the answers also. So I think it is fine. It's just that we'll check later on why the sync is not working with the StreamYard chat.
So we would go through questions afterwards once the stream ends, and we would still be happy to answer questions afterwards. Shouldn't be an issue.
Sure. Yeah. And Ashish, keep an eye on private chat. If there is something, we will message on private chat.
That
in the StreamYard.
All right.
Right.
Good. Okay.
Cool.
Thank you. So I'll continue with the large language model, and I'll explain what is it and how it works and what happens behind the scenes. So bear with me. I'll show you a slide which has too much text on it. You don't have to remember all the text, Shashank, but yeah, it is just for a reference purpose that what is a large language model. So try to dissect the word. First thing is a language model. So it understands text. It can understand different type of text given to it, and it can generate different type of text as output. So that is a language model. Why it is called large? Large because it is asking us to get input from or it has been trained on a large data set, a huge number of data set which is happening. So that what happens into large language model, and that's how we would be able to go ahead and then create a model which would be able to generate answer for me. So it is a human like text learning from vast textual data, and that's why we are calling it a larger. And it is one characteristic is that it can respond to unpredictable queries, right? It is meant to respond to you, right? It can say, hey, I don't know. You can say, can you draw me a picture? And it say, no, I am only a language model. I am not able to draw a picture, but I can give you tools information who can draw a picture for you, but it will respond. So it is a model which is flexible, which has ability to respond to queries. And this is not just one, there are multiple type of LLMs being used here, as you could clearly see. So if I'm talking about a generative AI is made up of multiple things like text generation, image, audio, video, and other. And even if I go into text, now for you and me, text could be 1, 2, 3, 4 ABCD, right? Code, your programming code is also a text. So text generation can also happen. Chatbots are there. Code generation can happen. Translation can happen into different language. So that chatbots, which you could see, are different types. So ChatGPT, Titan, Bard, Claude, and then Bing, Pi, Po. These are all commonly used tools we are seeing as output of it. So all these have LLM behind the scene, and because of the LLM, they are able to give me the answer I am asking them. Does it make sense, Shashank?
Yes, that definitely helps. So just adds me, it makes me think, what was the logical path Jenny has taken and how it all started? I mean, what was the journey? Can you help me with that, please?
Good question. And yeah, we need to understand what the basic is and how it started so that we could predict the future and move forward. So let me talk about how it all started. And I'm taking a very high level approach, not going into every single detail, but how it all started behind the scene. It all started with a component which we refer as word embedding. What is word embedding? I'll explain it. Word embedding is a method by which we are able to identify different words and then create a relationship between them. We are able to understand some component and then some relationship between them, and based on that we are able to answer some questions. So that's what word embedding. I'll give you an example so that you would be easy. Again, dog and cat are not going to go away. They will always come whenever we talk about machine learning. So let's say I have this quadrant. I have these two axes or a 2D graph which I am plotting, and here all the word in my language which I know as a natural language or different type of languages, I want to put those words here. Let's say for whatever reason dogs ends up into this place. It ends up into the quadrant which is on the left side at the bottom. So dog ends up here from whatever logic I have applied. Now if I am putting the next word in this cat, cat will also be coming somewhere near. Why? Because in natural language we use them into similar sentences. Like I would say I have a pet dog. Similarly, somebody would say I have a pet cat. Somebody would say I am taking my dog to a vet. Same thing will happen for the cat also. Somebody would take their cat to a pet, or they would have a cat put a collar. Dog would also have a collar. So in natural language, as we are using these two words in a similar sentence structure, what a model is going to do, model is going to say looks like there is some relationship between dog and cat, so let me keep it into one quadrant. Now I am for sake of explanation only using two-dimensional thing, but it is a multi-dimensional world which has been created by this model. Now if I give you a new word car, now car will be obviously not as related to dog and a cat. Maybe dog chase car sometime, that's a different story, but car is not at all or similar to a dog or a cat. But if I have a different word bus, probably this is related, right? Because they both, you can drive a car, you can drive a bus. You would need to see a mechanic if there is a fault. You need to see a mechanic if there is a fault with the bus also. A car can have a flat tire, bus can have a flat tire. Dog would never have a flat tire. Dog may have a bad stomach, cat can have a bad stomach. So you could see the relationship. So what these models are doing, they learn all the world which is possible in the language and then start putting them into different context, and then start creating some relationship on that. Like see this thing. So if it is a male female, so men women, king queen, that is a relationship. Then walking, walked, swimming, swam, and then Spain, Madrid, Germany, Berlin. So these words are somehow related somewhere, and that's what the model is keeping in its memory. So this whole thing started by word embedding. Word embedding is a technique that represents objects as a mathematical vector, and this helps machine learning and interpret the real world data. So that is what is happening here into word embedding, right? So consider, instead of just this four word, what if I could all the words I know, or I means the whole language world put together into a graph, and that's where everything is easier. So this is how word embedding started. So once people started, or means scientists started word embedding, what they did next, they then moved on from this word embedding to the next phase, which we refer as language model. So now if they can relate things, they can start creating language models out of it. So word embedding gave way to language model, and in this language model we have started using algorithm which is called word to vec or word to vector. We have created word in a vector format which has a direction and which has relationship within it, through which we are able to interpret those things. So word to vec are the family of algorithm by which this text generation is being made possible. And through this, we are able to then leverage natural language processing, which summarizes text, question answer can happen, sentiment analysis can happen, speech language can happen. So all of this can happen because of these things. So that's what we mean by how we have come to this particular road. So the road started from embedding, then we created some language model, then we created word to vec, and then we have natural language processing, and that is how your natural language is being processed by large language models. I'll give you one more example, Shashank, so you could relate to this thing, how it works out. Now, let me give you an example. So let's say we are predicting the next word. What I'm seeing here is a sentence. Everything has been blocked, all yellow I can't see, but I'm seeing the last word here which says lazy and dash. And you ask me, can you predict what would be the next word? Now, it could be n number of things. I would say most probable words which should come is lazy person, right? We call people, hey, that is a lazy person. We don't call that is my lazy computer. We don't say that most of the time, right? So we lazy probably relates to person. So what my model is doing now, model is predicting that I have seen a lot of time lazy being referenced for a person. So probably it is a lazy person which is there. But now what I do, I give my model more context. I say, okay, model, you are able to predict person. Let me give you some more context. Now see this thing. What I did, I gave my model, fox jumps over the lazy underscore. Now, probably person is not the right word here, right? A fox probably won't be jumping over a lazy person. In some fictional novel, it may happen, but in real life, that is a very uncommon thing to happen. So, model would say, person may not be the best thing to come here. It should be something else coming up. What it could be? See, fox exists into a space where it would be existing with different animals, right? So fox and rabbit, they probably would be seen together. So fox may be chasing rabbits, rabbit will be running when they see fox, or they exist in the same space. So model would say probably looks like rabbit should be the right word to come here. So fox jumps over the lazy rabbit, still makes sense to me, right? But is it right? Probably not. We will see, because what is happening, I still do not see first three letters in my whole sentence, and that's why I'm not able to predict everything. So how it started, the behind the scene mechanism for this thing which we are discussing is something called transformers. Not the movie Transformers, but transformer here is a article. It is a white paper which is published called Attention is All You Need. It happened in 2017, and that was the monumental moment for generative AI. It is a smaller, it is not a huge white paper, but it is complicated. And this Attention is All You Need model or paper talks about this, which we refer as a transformer model. So idea of transformer model is that take the text, put it into model, generate output, take the output again, put it back into the text, and keep on generating output. So if you see these arrows, so we are doing feed forward. So we got information, feed it forward. We got the information, feed forward. And that's how my output is coming up. So we provide input to transformer. It goes through different phases, and it keeps on making changes and moving forward. And that's how we come to output. So behind the scene mechanism is all happening through transformer model. Now, what I can do now, let's say now I give to my model more information. Now I have given this model this information, like the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy and underscore. Probably you know this thing. If you use Windows in Windows font, this is a statement which is most time returned, and this contains all the alphabets of English language. This is what we refer as a panagram. So machine would have learned somewhere panagram, and now it would be 100% sure, or at least 99.99% sure, that now we are getting here a dog as a sentence. So it first thought it can be a lazy person, then it thought it could be a lazy rabbit, but then when the whole context was visible, it is able to say no, it is probable that it will be a lazy dog, which is the word which is coming up. And that is how it feeds on small input, keeps on enhancing it, and generate the output for me. That's how the road to generative AI has come. So this is how we have started generating all the text-based data. Make sense?
Yes, and that really helps me to connect the dots from the journey we started till now, all the words that I've heard so far. Thanks, Ashish.
Exactly. So yeah, that is how the transformer model works behind the scenes. So what we do in transformer model, we take inputs. Let's say same example. Now we are going a little differently. A puppy is to dog as a kitten is to. We do not know the word. What we want this information to be processed by LLM. So LLM goes through these 4 steps. It goes through tokenization and encoding. It will then perform word embedding and it will decode and then generate the output. I will be a little quick because of the time, but let me explain what happens. Now, tokenization is a basic fundamental thing which happens when you put an input, and tokens are important based on the cost and the performance. Tokens are important. So tokenization is fundamental step in natural language processing. Tokenization is to represent text in a manner that meaningful to machine. See, I know words easily. You remember words easily. You remember person's name easily. But machine do not remember names. Machine need numbers. So any input which I am giving in, I have to ensure that machine can understand it. And a machine is learning is still like a kid. So if I am teaching a kid, I won't be giving them a passage from my book. This book is Cloud Career Journeys. I won't be giving a passage from this book. If I'm teaching a kid, I have to start with the fundamentals, which is A or B or C. So what happens now? Let's say I go to my machine and input the word listen. What a machine is doing now, machine is converting it into tokens. So tokenization is the process of converting input text into smaller unit. So L, this is ASCII code for L, I ASCII code S, T, E, N. So what machine did, machine is able to create a tokenized value for listen, and let's say the total value comes up XYZ and it stored it. But the same characters are used for the word silent also. So if machine is just making a prediction based on the numbers, it would be confused that are these numbers representing listen or are these numbers representing silent. So in some model, instead of breaking down a single character, what we do that we break down the whole sentences. Let me show an example of that. So what we could have done, we could have done something like this tokenization. So I love my dog, and then I love my cat. I have given first 001 number, 2, 3, and 4. And now when I would write I love my cat, now I could clearly see that first three words are not changing, the last is changing. So now machine knows that looks like there is a similarity between dog and cat because they are being used into the same context or in the similar format we have used it. So now machine is able to learn that dog and cat exist into the same space when I am building it. So now what machine would do? Machine would take my sentence, convert it into the tokens which we see here, and then it will encode it, and afterward it would plot all the word from my sentence. So when my word is plotted like a cat, there would be kitten, dog, there is a puppy, young, there is a canine, there is a old. So as you could see, cat and kitten are coming into the same vector, dog and puppy are coming into the same vector. So probably the next probable word here is going to be the puppy. So same thing here, a puppy is to dog, is kitten to a cat. So it is trying to figure out, should it be cat, should it be bird, should it be bear, should it be human? And these probably are the probabilities of how many times we have found out the similar sentences. So what is going to happen now, we would say looks like cat is the most probable answer. So we decoded whatever output we got, and then we generate the output and give it back to the system. So this is what happens, a puppy is to dog as a kitten is to cat. That's how the complete process works. Now I generated one sentence. What if I generate the same sentence and give it back to the transformer model? Second sentence generated, give it back. Third sentence, I can say, okay, I am giving you a para, generate the next para. I am giving you one page, generate the next page for me. So that is exactly same thing happening all time, that tokenization happens when we send input, word embedding is then checked, decoding happens, and then output is generated. So this is how behind the scene LLM models actually work, right? So I'll stop here now and I'll wait. If you have any questions, any doubts, I would be happy to answer any questions related to it. All good, Shashank?
All good. Was just trying to wrap my head around tokenization,
Yeah,
embedding,
there is so much
decoding
information.
outputs.
So
Yep.
Exactly. So
All
that's
four
what the
steps
beauty of
were there.
YouTube is. You could go ahead and record it is already there, so you could revisit it. So I don't
Yeah.
expect that you will become master in one day. Nobody can become. Same thing, we also tried and learned multiple times, so feel free to watch it again. But I have given you the gist of how LLM works, how to utilize these models. We would be discussing them into the next chapter. So I would stop here from the technical perspective, and really sorry for all the mishap of question not being seen on to us, but we would answer as many questions afterward as we can. All right. Can we label this term in a simpler words? There is a question from Emrek. See, Emrek, you could call whatever you want as. I would put it like, if I had to put it here, I would say that tokenization is, see, this is my wording. Obviously, it is not the official answers from the machine learning expert. I would say I would be numbering the word, right? And then, so I am first doing is numbering the word which I got as an input. Then what I was doing, I am trying to find a relationship between them, and then I am trying to perform a probability of whatever I got, and then I am generating the output for you. So this is what is happening behind the scene. All the numbers has been generated from the token or from the sentence you have given. They have been put together into a relation format, and then probability was checked that what could be the next generated word, and then the generation of the word happens. So this is what could be the complete process from the machine learning perspective, which is happening whenever you are saying anything to ChatGPT. Okay, good. So we completed around 50 minutes of discussion, and I think it is hopefully you got a good understanding, Shashank, and we will be seeing more complex things as we move forward. But feedback is important, everyone. So anything which you have feel that we can improve upon, anything which we can make do to make your learning better, just let us know, and we would be happy to get together and then finish those things. Shouldn't be a problem. I'll stop now, and I'll invite Prasad and Sharik for the next track. Okay. Good.
Thanks, Ashish. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome, sir. Let me remove the presentation and add Prasad and Sharik. Hey, Prasad, hey, Sharik.
Hey Ashish,
Are you able to get questions in the
today
YouTube
somehow.
afterward?
I don't know why, but
Yeah.
it is fine. Overall, I think the chat, the people are asking questions and Shervik has been answering them. So that is good. And I've been preparing PPT for this section
Good.
behind the scenes. That's how it goes. It's a busy week for everyone. And I generally prepare the slides. We do decide on the topic, but prepare the slides when Ashish is presenting. And Sharik is always there with us behind the scenes. So here,
Just one,
I'll remove myself, Sharik. Go ahead, sir.
No, Ashish, be there. Just one thing. Actually, there was a question from Neelam, and I actually thought this is a very important question for everybody. So I thought I'll take it up, discuss with you. So the question is, what will be the roadmap to be an AI or ML architect? So generally for people, and again, I think if you take it up from a, let's say, a complete fresher perspective, and more importantly, somebody who is, let's say, 10 years into the industry doing something else and now wants to move to AI ML, what would be the best way to learn, and kind of, how does the roadmap look like? Go ahead.
Yeah. So, Prasad, you want to take it? AI/ML architect.
Go ahead, you start, and then I'll add.
Yeah. So I would say that somebody who may not be a full-blown programmer, but who should understand how the processing works behind the scene on any program, like how the probability is calculated for something, or maybe how these vectorization works. So it is the basic thing. Somebody should have the basic understanding of computing in general. And then most of the time what I have seen, that people do not just become ML architect. They would have been a data engineer, or they've been a data architect, or they have been into data world somehow, data analyst maybe. So once you start, because if you look at machine learning, it is pattern matching, nothing beyond it, if I put it into a plain English to you. So you should understand that how this data world works. So once you have an understanding of data, different correlation method, because statistics will come into picture whenever we are talking about machine learning, probabilities will come into picture, different predictions will come into picture. So most of the time, if you are coming with a base background of data analytics, it should help you in becoming an architect. And again, there is no straight path. It could be that probably you build a model, now you need to run it, and you would need now compute environment for that. You need it to interact with something else, and you need to secure customer data, so you would need security around it. So probably a data profile and then having more things around would help you to become a AI or ML architect. That's my take.
No, completely
Cool.
agree with
I
you.
can
Actually,
add on to it a bit. And
sorry,
go ahead, Ashrik.
No, I just wanted to add one point here, because this is the phase where we are actually looking. All of us are trying to understand how it is going to evolve as a field.
Exactly.
And I always look this 10, 12 years back, when DevOps was gaining popularity and everybody was trying to adopt DevOps. It was one thing. But if you look at DevOps today, we have again specializations. We have people who are completely focused on Kubernetes and container world. Then we have people who are completely focused on the infrastructure side, things like Terraform and other things. So different models. Similarly, if you look at machine learning, I mean, the research what I have done in the last few months or so is that, again, if you're a developer, then you have one track where you're helping the data scientists. And if you are a PhD, typically one of the things which is very important for an ML, and in fact, people we know internally in AWS and the people I know, they typically hold PhD degrees and they are into the typical data scientists. Then you have people who are helping that, because as a software engineer, you need to have that foundation of running the ML pipelines as well. That's where your general software skills and your sysadmin and system engineering skills comes into picture. Because just like any other thing in software, this is where you have to scalability, reliability, and those things which are always there, be it ML, be it anything else. So depending on what you are currently, you can actually map it. And Ashish said rightly that data is at the heart of it. Data is at the heart of whatever role you're choosing within ML. Data is always the heart of it.
Yeah. And only thing, and I think it's totally covered by Ashish and Sharik, but only thing I would add is there are two people, one who will be architecting AI/ML solutions, other people who will be using it, right? So you can be on the other side also. As a cloud architect, I don't need to go very deep into how AI and ML is being developed or is being architected, right? Because there'll be like, for example, there will be architect who will be coming up with a new transformer architecture for the whole GPT thing. But as an application architect, as a solutions architect, I need to just ensure that I understand what are the use cases that will be solved by AI ML, and I can be an architect of that. Let's say I'm a financial industry solutions architect, right? Then how AI ML is going to transform the industry. If I know those applications or the use cases, I'll be able to architect around it. So there are many flavors of architect, as we say. We have a generic architect and a specialist architects. So you can always think about in each of your specialist architect how AI ML is going to impact, and you can also become a pure AI ML architect that will have a different field.
Correct. Absolutely.
Shashank, what is your view about this AI ML thing? How you could create a path?
I would say, considering me being the latest addition to the SA fam, I would say generalist SA are definitely needed. Good to have data experience because data comes, wrangling of data, understanding how to massage it, how to put it to use, what are your features. A lot amount of background of data engineering, it helped me to a little understand these words, and then I visualized it with analogies, just the way you gave few analogies, right? Similarly, what if I select a model, there are 40 models, how do I reduce down to one? Such questions, if you're curious enough, it will help you understand the terminologies which you used, like fine tuning is there, or if I have to make it continuous training, which you gave it as general training, right? Those analogies are there. If you understand these, and then if you go ISU wise, for example, I was working with the health sector, so for them what matters is people raise a lot of claims, and how those claims are processed. The volume of claim is high and can be automated. Similarly, there's an insurance blog post out there on an official post, right? So the moment you understand those things and then try to put GenAI to use, it's really great. And that's how I see it feels great when you see a project coming out or blooming out from your POC. POCs are good to do, but if the outcomes come out of it and they see the light of the day, everyone is like, we did something or we achieved something. So yeah, I hope I tried to answer what you asked.
No, that's
but
right.
this
That's
is
good one. Yeah, data is the score of whatever is happening in this world as of now.
Yes. I'll still say data is the oil, and based on that, only GenAI is working. Yeah.
I
Data is
agree.
important.
You need oil for everything to run. Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take one question. Now I can see the YouTube comments here also. So there is a question that can we train our model with specific data? So yes, you could, Ramiz, and that is the topic for next. We will be discussing Bedrock, and in Bedrock there is a concept of agent by which you could perform all these type of things. Integration, knowledge bases are there. So yes, we will be discussing that into the next section. All right, over to you, Prasad and Sharik. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'll share the screen. First, I'll show a slide that is not related to that behavioral, but it's related to the question that was asked on the AI ML architect roadmap. Now, I come from a .NET development background. I am a solutions architect at AWS, and we know all AI ML is coming, right? The reInvent talk that I'm giving is on the topic this, which I'll show. It's all architecture based, but there is no specific dive deep into AI. The topic is choose the right AI service for your .NET use case, in which I'll not be talking about more deep learning or AI ML, but I'll be talking about how for your specific industry use case you are going to use your AI services and how you can build that with .NET. So when you're thinking about becoming an AI ML architect, think about how you can leverage your existing skills, because in every industry AI ML will be having an impact.
Yes.
Cool. Now I'll switch gears and let's talk about behavioral skills. The question is why behavioral skills are evaluated during interviews and what behavioral skills. We'll first talk about the why, and I have my own view. I'll show a slide and then me and Sharik will share our views. But at the end, if we have 5 minutes, I'll also talk about a bit of Cloud Career Journeys book. And Ashish and me just discussed before the session that it will be good to talk about few of the stories in the book. In every session, like every session, we'll share one story that is there in the book and the AAA, which is action, advice, and alert from that. I'll talk about that more towards the end of the session. But here, why behavioral skills are evaluated during interviews? Simple thing, while technical skills are important, many roles also require strong soft skills. There are multiple like communication, teamwork, problem solving, leadership. There are other things also, but I'll let first Sharik chime in because he has a lot of experience in interviewing.
Yes. So Prasad, I mean, yeah, a very, very important point, because I always see whenever we get these questions like, how should I prepare? What should I do? The focus, I would say 90% focus is always on the technical aspect. Should I study this? Should I study that? That is always a question. Very less people focus on the communication and the soft skill aspect of the interview, which is equally important, if not more. And the reason, if we come back to the question, why it is evaluated, the most important reason is the longevity and success of that person, and with the extension of that, the success of the team and eventually the organization. Because I'll take the points from your slide. So if you talk about the communication, I remember reading it somewhere that if you are only as good as you can communicate, so you could be a rocket scientist, but if you can't communicate, nobody would believe you for it. Right? Very simple. I don't think I need to explain much on that. So communication is the key aspect. If I'm talking to you and if I don't have the way to communicate my depth of knowledge, you will take me for my face value, whatever words I'm coming out of my mouth. Teamwork and problem solving, again, I would say they would go hand in hand, because when you talk about the teamwork, if let's say, again, I could be the best engineer in the world, but if I'm somebody who is very self-centric or narcissistic, I cannot work with people around me, I'm going to create and promote a toxic culture, which is not good, again, for me, for the organization, for the project, whatever. It's eventually going to create problems, and the other good people are going to leave the organizations. I don't want that. Just to give an idea on this, this is again a very important aspect from I mean, I would say this is true for any company, but more true for having so many interviews taken for Amazon. We have this sort of unsaid rule sort of thing, where what we do generally is that when we are taking interviews, and if we have, let's say, multiple number of people, it is preferable to let go of some really good candidates rather than having a bad hire. Somebody again who is very good technically. When we say bad hire, we don't mean that the person is not technically good. Technically the person could be excellent, but he's not so good, he or she is not so good with these other aspects when we talk about the soft skills, because then this one person is going to spoil 10 other people, or spoil the mood of 10 other people. So it's very important, and you can imagine how strict or how important it is. So and that is one of the reasons, and I have seen enough number of times to believe the importance of it, that we have let go of some really very good people in terms of technical skills, but they were not really good when it came to probably communication or the attitude, the probably the willingness to learn, those kind of things, right? And because of those things here and there, we had to let go of these people. We did not hire them eventually. We went ahead in the opposite direction. So yes, it is equally important, if not more.
Yeah, that's true. And now it's more important in this age, because when we talk about technical skills, as you can see, the more Gen AI would come, the more easy for other people would be to upskill themselves using Gen AI, or Gen AI would be, if not taking their jobs, will be solving the technical problems easily, right? Now, if talking about any architecture, I've seen some models, they have been really good, that they will be able to come up with really good architectures. Or even for code snippets, we have seen that the AI coding assistants are really good. So if you're thinking about a technical job, AI coding assistants will become really good. They are actually showing really good results as of now, like writing Terraform code. I've seen some AI coding assistants writing very beautiful infrastructure code. They have not been able to do very like complex high level architectures, but these models are learning very fast, and they will be able to do it really well. Now, how would you differentiate yourself when AI is going to do all of these tasks? That's where the soft skill and the behavioral skills will be more important, right? And that's where even all the companies, they would be looking to hire people who will not only be able to do the technical task, but would be able to understand the business behind it, who will be able to articulate what they would need from these large language modules in a way. And that is communication skills. That is your way of thinking and writing and giving a prompt to this. And if anyone has, like, if anyone is coming to reInvent, they would like to watch the sessions at reInvent, or whatever sessions you are looking at any other big conferences, and most of them are recorded. If you look into these AI sessions, you would see that how easy the coding has become. Even in the session, and I see a few of the comments that people would like to know more about the .NET and AI session that I'm talking about. Yes, I'll be delivering it live, and we are currently preparing it at reInvent, and then the recording should be available afterwards. You would see that most of the code we will not be writing ourselves. We will be using the IDE and giving the prompt, and the code would be generated. We will edit that code to make it a bit more, but the overall code generation will be done by the AI. And you would see that what me and my co-presenter would show is that we try and understand the business behind it, that what we would like to solve. Like in the demo that we'll be showing, it will be about insurance claim processing. So the engineers who will be having this business knowledge, they would be able to do a much better job, and that's what employers would be looking for. And for that, let's talk about what behavioral skills are evaluated during interviews. Yeah, as I said, I was doing the last minute changes, so you can see and at the end. So now, if I talk about, and Sharik, I have like 8 points. We'll bring up one by one, and we'll discuss those. So the first is communication skills. You already touched about it. That ability to express your thoughts clearly and concisely. Your communication skills are going to be really important. And when we say communication skills, it doesn't mean that you need a good English speaking skills. These are two different things. It's not about English speaking skills, right? It's about you are able to express your thoughts clearly. And for that, it is very important that you listen. A lot of times, and even I was similar at the start of my career, I used to ensure that the other person is able to hear me, and that is why I used to be a person who used to speak more than listen. I used to ensure that I am putting my point across. But now I understand, with some maturity and all the mistakes that we make over the career, right? That we need to listen more and say
Exactly.
our things in very few words that are impactful. And over the
Correct.
time, you will learn that how you can, one sentence can be said in like 5 minutes, or a communication point, or within a minute also. So you would learn over the time, and the more you practice, the more better it is. It is more difficult, I understand, for non-native speakers than the native speakers, but we all are kind of non-native speakers, and we learn over the time. Sharik.
I think that's for everybody, right? So even if you're a native speaker, again, I would say, talking to so many people. Again, I'm in living in the UK now. We interact with people from Europe and different parts of the. One thing which we have is, like, especially if you talk about from the Indian context, is that if you speak English well, you are good. Yes, English has its own importance because that has become the lingua franca of the world. If you know English, you can probably survive anywhere. But more than English, communication skills is much more than English. It's not just what you speak, it's how you speak, your body language, how you're talking, how you're greeting, how you're starting the conversation, how you are ending the conversation. Everything matters. Everything matters. And this is, again, this is not something which you um, the things you will see, that boot camps and all, this is not something which can be taught to you in a boot camp or in a 1 day session like that. It is something which you have to bring the change in yourself. And as Prasad said, what we are talking right now in front of everybody, if you look at us 10 years back, 15 years back, I would literally laugh at myself, right? How I was 10, 15 years back. So this is a consistent effort. This is the kind of, when the first step is to realize, okay, we need to improve. How and when and what efforts we need to put in, that's what you need to understand. And of course, nobody else is going to do it for you. You have to do it yourself, for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And Sharish had a right point. The faster you realize that we need to work on these things, the faster you do. Like, I realized it quite late, very frankly.
Mm.
But
And,
but
and,
the
and
faster you realize,
one more point is there, maybe people might be thinking that we are done with that. I mean, personally, I still go through blogs to understand communications, to understand how you should, behave yourself. I mean, when I was giving a talk last year for one of the AWS summits in London, I went through, we had the coach. Thankfully, Amazon arranged that for us, and we had a 1 hour session. And in that first 10 minutes, the lady, she stopped me and she gave me 20 different points where I was wrong. So it's not that we are learning, and the more you learn, the better you become, the more you realize that how much you have to learn, how much you have to understand. So it's not something which is going to stop for you. It's not a goal that, oh, you achieved this much, now you're done. It's not a level 10 thing. Okay, it's a continuous process.
yeah, it's a journey. It's a journey.
It's a journey, exactly.
Cool. Second is problem solving, critical thinking. And this is more important in the whole AI world. Like, how uniquely you are able to think about the problems, and how analytical and logical reasonings works, how creative you are. Though we are seeing Gen AI doing really good job in that space also, slowly and slowly. If you look at some of the research papers that are coming out and the benchmarking, they are doing really well. But still, this is the place where the human centric thing would always be having an edge.
This one, there was one. I think, I don't know who was it. One of the company CEOs. He mentioned a very nice word called uh, coding, and everything else is going to be. Of course, we have now assistants who are going to code for us. What is going to be more and more important is going to be the domain knowledge. Right. And when we say the domain knowledge, we are talking, for example, somebody has worked in automobile industry for 10 years. So he or she will have things which we don't have. Somebody who has worked for insurance industry for the last 5 years, 10 years. So that domain specific, or domain specific knowledge which the person gains and acquires, that is going to be more and more important, because coding, syntax, those things will be irrelevant in the next few years, right?
Yeah. Teamwork and collaboration, we all know this, right? This is something that's really helpful. Over the time, I also have become better, I believe, in this whole teamwork and collaboration, especially for us software engineers. Like, in the IC role, we feel that give us the work and we'll do it. But that's not the case. It's about, how do you manage multiple stakeholders? How do you communicate well with other teams? How do you do the cross team collaboration? All that really helps, especially the conflict resolution. So if there are humans, there will be conflicts, right? We are all humans, and there will be conflicts. And one of the things that has really helped me is an advice that approach conflict with curiosity. Instead of, if someone comes and says that this is the way that you are doing is wrong, right? Do not think that, and don't need to be defensive. Think about why the other person says that it is wrong. Try and become curious. Is there a better way to do it? If yes, then you are learning, right? So if you can approach the conflict with any other person with curiosity, it will always be beneficial in terms of your own learning.
Very important, very important. I mean, this one, this teamwork and collaboration, again, I will blame Hollywood for it, because in the last 20, 30 years, there is a typical stereotyped image of an IT person. This person is wearing a hoodie like this, and it's in the corner of a room. It's like some dark room will be there. Interestingly, we are wearing the hoodie at the moment, right? And in a corner, in a dark room, and they're all by alone. But it could not be farther from the truth, because IT, like any other field, it needs collaboration, it needs people, it needs your team building skills where you can interact. Even those hackers, even those people who are supposed to be black hat or white hat hackers, they also have a close-knit community. They're also not working alone. They are virtually connected with so many people you don't even believe, right? So there's not a single person job here. It's not happening.
Yeah. And then we have leadership and initiative. Taking ownership and responsibility. So this is ownership is something that I've learned a lot after joining AWS. Even before I was doing that, but after joining AWS, I've seen a different level of ownership. That if we are doing an initiative, that we own end to end. And this is really important. At every level, people think that leadership is mainly for managers, or leadership is something for people who are after a certain level of experience. Even as a fresher, you can show leadership and you can show ownership. It's about, even for a very small thing, it's always the way you approach it, that are you a follower or you are leading, right? And there is no harm in being either, but if you would like to grow faster, being showing that ownership and showing that leadership is really helpful. In this world, adapting is really important, and that's where I've seen some of the questions also in the behavioral interviews. And the point is, when people are judging or not judging, or are viewing you for any specific traits, they're not going to ask you a direct question that are you adaptable. Obviously you'll say I'm adaptable, right? But it'll be a hidden question in terms of they're asking, they've given you a specific technical problem to solve and you're solving it, and they're trying to give you a hint in between if you're going in a wrong direction, and they would see that whether you have picked up that hint and you have changed the course. And that's where they'll be able to see that are you adaptable for the feedback, are you flexible in terms of changing your approach. A lot of these behavioral skills are tested during the technical interviews without you even knowing it, without you even realizing that you are being tested on it. So ensure that you are able to adapt to the situations. I'll let you take this one, Sharik. Time management and organization.
Kind of self-explainer, but yes, time management, especially in today's day and age. I always give this example of, when we started probably 20 years back, we had this thing, okay, you learn one technology and then you're safe for the next 4 or 5 years, right? You can work on that technology before there is a time to upskill and reskill yourself. But today that gap has become less and less, and like every 6 months, or I would say even faster nowadays, things are changing. So unless, and imagine this, you have to, if you're doing a 9-to-5 job, then you have a family, then you have to upskill and learn new things. And on top of that, you have your friends and family. You have to do everything. And the important part is you can't say no to anything. You can't say no to your family. You can't say no to your job. You can't say no to your upskilling, because anything you stop or leave, it's going to affect you one way or the other, right? So time management, organization, prioritization, and one thing we always see, that saying no to things when you can't do something, or when you have a number of things. Prioritization, that this is the most important thing. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. Then the next, and then okay, this is not something I can do. Those things you have to learn. You have to kind of, and the sooner you learn, the better you will be. As simple as that. So yeah, because see, one more thing we always say in AWS or in general, like, earning trust, that is one of the leadership principles. So when we talk about deadlines or everything, let's say Prasad and I are working on a project, and I tell Prasad that, okay, we'll complete this in a week's time, and then I was not able to complete 1 week, one project. Prasad will understand. If it is happening the second time, he will say, oh, what is wrong? Then third time, he will know that it's a habit for me. I'm not able to keep. Whatever the problem may be, I can have different problems. I can have different things behind the scenes. But for Prasad, I am somebody who is not able to keep up the promise. And once that image becomes in the head, it is very difficult to change that image, right? And that once that trust is lost, to gain that trust back is very, very difficult. And it works everywhere. It works with normally we think, okay, we should be good in our manager's eyes. But manager is just one part. Your manager is watching you. Your peer group is watching you. Your juniors are watching you. So everybody has that relationship. And once you have that image building takes a lot of time and multiple iterations. But if you do something wrong and if you have ruined your image, it's very difficult to get that back. So it's very important, again, like, basic stuff, like it's kind of, as I said, this is a self-explainer, but it's a lot more difficult to achieve and kind of, make it streamlined in your life and in your professional career.
That's true. And this comes back to communication skills. There might be n number of reasons why Sharik has not been able to complete this, meet the deadline. But if you are communicating that this is where I need help, and that's it, English is not required. It's about, Sharik understanding. When I say Sharik, like just a persona, not Sharik. Sharik is always on time and he exceeds expectations always in general. That if you're communicative enough to tell the people that you'll not be able to meet a deadline and a specific timeline, they'll be able to help you out. People are here to help you out always. Like, that's where then the teamwork and collaboration will come into picture. So all of these are kind of interconnected. It's all about the attitude that comes. Right. But let's keep moving forward. And Sharik, you gave a really good idea when you talked about, like learning to say no. Probably we can have one session just about how to say no. A lot of people struggle with bandwidth, right? And true. I remember one of the sessions that I attended long back about how to say no. And there are really beautiful ways that how you can actually push back and not take on more work.
Yeah.
So
I mean, in a very courteous and professional manner. You don't have to be rude when you say no. That's exactly what we think. Yeah, that's not the case. Absolutely.
Work ethic and integrity, again, really important. It's about, if you're making a commitment, then meet it. If you're not able to make a commitment, tell them why. It's about being open, communicative, and ensure that if you're taking the responsibility of doing something, own it end to end and be accountable for it. I'm going to rush it because I see that we are already on time. And the final is customer and client focus. So this particular session is not specific to AWS, and that is why this comes at the last. If you talk about specific AWS, this is like the first thing that we do. It's everything has to be customer obsessed. That's one of the leadership principle. But in general, when you're doing something, always keep customer in mind about how are you helping them. You're the end customer, and that is always useful. Let me see if there are any questions. So there is, okay, there's a lot of questions going on. Let me see, and I see Parna responding to it. That is great.
I see Ermak has mentioned, but you guys are wearing hoodies. So yes, but we do wear other types of clothes as well. You might find us in tie and suit as well, as if the situation demands.
Yeah. Okay, so there is a question that, can you please tell us the roadmap to switch from service-based to product-based companies? That's a really good question, Neelam. And I don't think we have time today, but that is something that we should address because I come from a consulting company. Before joining AWS, I was working with Sapient for long. It's a consulting company, and I used to consult service-based company. So yes, it's a good question. And let us see how we can take it back and come back with probably a 10-15 minutes talk about it. Or we might even think about inviting a guest speaker and see how we can give you exact tips about making that switch. But frankly, it's not rocket science. That's what I tell everyone. If I can do it, anyone can do it. So it's about making that. leap?
If I have to give you a very short answer here, Neelam, is very simple, that you first of all focus on the fundamentals. A lot of times what happens, when we talk about a technology, and this is true not just for AI ML, this is true for anything. You talk about development, you talk about AI ML, system engineering, whatever field you're choosing. Normally what happens, there is this buzzword, okay, I'll go ahead and learn that. But you don't focus on the fun. I mean, even today, if you talk about the IT as a role, as a career, you still have to understand IP addressing. You still have to understand how the basic data structure and algorithms work. You still have to, whatever you have learned in your engineering and other technology courses, they are still very, very important. I mean, I always, whenever I'm taking a session, I always tell this to our customers or the people who are getting trained, right? That if you thought that 10 years back or 20 years back, you learned something about something called OSI layers in your college days, and you thought it's done, it's not. It's going to haunt you forever in your career, in your professional life. And we still use OSI layers, such a basic, such a fundamental thing. So building that rock solid foundation will, first of all, it will give you confidence, and it will give you the very much needed confidence in the current role which you're doing. And then anything new comes up, because this is the ever constant, ever changing world we are living in. So if you have the rock solid foundations, it will help you learn things in a much faster and a much better way, compared to if you are struggling with the foundational stuff. So that is always there. So whatever your track is, developer, sysadmin, or whatever your track is, AI ML, in that field, there is always a foundational aspect of every field, every track, every career journey. So focus on that. That would be one thing I would say.
And that's the right advice, and it will be applicable for everything. So
Exactly.
that's great.
You build upon
There are
that.
a few other really good questions. So, and I'm afraid we do not have time, but the questions are how to any tips for stress management or controlling nerves for deadline. I'd say that let's continue these discussions in the Discord channel. We do have some experience in those. Stress management is something that any professional who has been in IT career for a few years, they would have gone through meeting a deadline, and then there is a pressure. I remember early in my career, I have been I've done multiple times all night, right, just to get through a deadline. And I'm sure most people here who have some experience would have done that. And there are ways how you can navigate those things, so we can definitely talk about that. But if people have few more minutes, I would like to talk about the cloud career journeys, AAA, advice, action, alert. And Ashish, if you'd like to come, feel free to come on. But yes, Sharik, to give you a background, what happened was just before you joined the back end of the StreamYard, like we all joined like 5-10 minutes before. Me and Ashish were discussing about if we can do talk about at least one story each time and give them a feel about how they were able to navigate their careers and become successful. And then in the book, what we have is that at the end of every story, we have 16 stories in the book. At the end of every story, we have something called AAA. And Ashish was the person actually who gave that idea. So I'll let Ashish describe what AAA is.
Okay, so I have to give a background about what this book is for people who do not know. So Prasad, if you could bring that book website. So the book is about
Sure.
people's journey who have been successful into the cloud, or means success is again a relatable matter. Somebody may call them successful, or they may not be successful, but other may think they are successful. But what we felt, people who have made some changes, or people have changed life or inspired others. So we compiled stories of these people into this cloud career journey book, and we have bought people from different stream. There are 16 stories in that, and 15, sorry. And in those stories, we go ahead and then we talk about different categories, like people who were helping others, people who started from no background, people who were technical and then moved, people who were non-technical and then moved to cloud. So we read story, right? Stories are good. We could relate to their life, what they did. But what I could take from it, what could be the thing which I could implement? Okay, Ashish went through this journey, fine. I am interested more in knowing his journey, but I am more interested in knowing if he could give me some advice, he could help me out in something. And that's where the idea of AAA came. So with every story end, we ask these people that, hey, if you have to give somebody 3 advices, advice is a long-term thing. Long-term thing like advice is, hey, start learning XYZ or start focusing on this. So that is advice. So 3 advices from every story. Then is action. Action is about, okay, can you give me something tangible? Tangible in the sense that, okay, go ahead and increase your LinkedIn membership to 20 more groups, or start posting on to LinkedIn, or start posting or represent yourself into a user group. So that is an action which is tangible I could do. So those are things. And then some mistakes we all make in our life, so it's good not to make mistake and learn from others mistakes. So that is the alert. So alert says that, okay, I did this mistake, and if you are going into your journey, stay away from these things or do not repeat these mistakes. So that is the 3 thing we included in every journey: advice, 3 advices, 3 action, and 3 alert. Obviously there is some overlap, but these are something which is like gist of the story, which has helped that person, or it is something which they want to help others with. That's the advice, action, and alert part is.
Yeah. So Ashish, I did prepare the slides to talk about Julie's story and advice, action, alert from Julie's story, but I don't think we have time today. We are already exceeded 7 minutes, so probably we'll cover this next week. But yeah,
I would
Julie
say just cover it in 2 minutes, and then we can talk about it again. So just explain who is Julie Elkins, let people understand what she's doing, and then we talk about her detail. So we just showcase the personality that we will discuss their story next, just as a teaser. So just introduce Julie Elkins, and we will talk about her into the next session.
Yeah, sure. So Julie is she's currently working at AWS. As you can see in the screen, she's the exam prep curriculum developer. So any courses that you take on Skill Builder, she's one of the trainer there. So she creates courses for that. She's from that specific team. But her story is really interesting. And when me and Ashish were thinking about which personalities we should be featuring in the book, and we had this like full list, and then we were shortlisting. Julie got shortlisted because she has a very interesting story. She comes from a completely non-technical background, and she wanted to become a marine biologist. And we'll talk about this in more detail in the next session. But like, she was in scuba diving, and from where she was born, and what she thought about becoming a teacher or a marine biologist. But then she ended up becoming a paralegal, and then she got married, she had kids, and she was not working for probably around 10 years. So she had a huge career gap. And then she started working as an administrative assistant in one of the company. And that company, she was working with few of the people who used to work on the cloud, and not the cloud, on the data center, or on the IT stuff, I would say. And that company made a decision to move to AWS. And she was administrative assistant there. She did not have any, kind of obligation to learn those things, but she was so fascinated with the other people who are working on the IT things that she started learning it. And now you can see that she works with AWS. So we'll talk about that in a bit more detail. And we do have a AAA from her, like the advice that she provides now, the action and the alert. But we'll cover all of that in next time. Hopefully we'll be able to get more time.
Yeah, and we kept Julie into a category what we call liberators. So idea of liberators is the people who have not just progressed themselves, but they helped also others to achieve something. So you will find people like John Bonso from Tutorial Dojo, Neil Davis, he's from Digital Cloud, and Julie is from AWS. So these are the stories, and we are not saying that you need to read every story, but I am sure that some of you would resonate to 1 or 2 stories from that hey, I have similar path, or I have similar type of background, or I have similar challenges to face. So we'll try to bring these personalities here in terms of these stories. We'll share their AAA advice, action, and alert, and then hopefully it would help you out also in your journey. So go and research about LinkedIn about Julie Elkins, what she is doing, and we'll discuss about her advice and action into the next session. All right.
Yes. And finally, thank you everyone for who has purchased the Cloud Career Journey Starter Kit. Like, as we said, we wanted to provide as much value with the book as possible. So we do have free resources with the book, like gives you access to 1 month access to Wiz Labs, 1 month access to Pluralsight, Tutorials Dojo, and Digital Cloud Training. But then we also put together something called Starter Kit, which provides not only this book, but 6 months access to Wiz Labs and 6 months access to Pluralsight, and also access to a few of the training programs from Tutorials Dojo and Digital Cloud Training. And there are discount vouchers for resume services and boot camps, and there are roadmaps from different industry experts. So anyone who has purchased last week, today morning, we have sent emails to everyone. Sorry for the delay. It was a very busy week for both me and Ashish. So we were not able to send the emails over the week, but today we sent emails to everyone. So yeah, anyone who's interested to get on to getting these learning resources, feel free. Here is the 50% discount code exclusive for BeSA members.
And Ermic has a question that can we invite these heroes? Yes, we did. And you need to search. And we have a lot of people from this. Like we had Ifyani, we had Daniel, we had Julie Elkins also. We had Eric Johnson also. So a lot of people, Perna is obviously there. So a lot of people were there onto these sessions. So obviously we would be happy to invite them again if they have time and if we have very specific question, would be happy to invite. So let's have a vote later that who you want to see, and probably we'll try to reach out to them and see if we can invite them. Right? We will do that later. But yeah, now in interest of time, I would just stop.
Yes, let's stop.
Thanks everyone, and I hope everyone was having some good time, have learned some technology, got some tips for professional experience and our professional journey. So we want to learn from you, or hear from you, like what you liked, what we could have improved. Sorry for the chat thing. Hopefully it will not happen next time. But yeah, any feedback, any suggestion, anything we can do to help you out, please let us know, and we would be so happy to get you out. Jeff Bezos, we don't have even into story, Armik, so probably not, but we'll try to do that. We'll see.
We don't have access to his yacht, that's a problem.
Good. What's the comment? I missed it. I'm not able to read the comment.
No, Ermic is asking to get Jeff Bezos, I think.
That will be too far, fresh. We can get Jeff Barr for sure. If we can get Jeff Barr Ashish this time, because this time it is not a.
Let's see.
Every time what happens
he's busy with reinvent thing, Prasad. So I little doubt it. But yeah, we'll try our best.
We'll try our best. Yeah.
Thanks everyone. Have a good one, and we'll wait for your feedback. Thank you so much.
Cheers. Bye-bye.